a new live-action Snow White. It's a musical, like the Disney one, but like reimagined.
Yeah, yeah.
It premiered March 21st, 2025, like just came out.
Okay.
So there are tons of reviews already, and it's pretty interesting.
Oh, cool.
We've got all these reviews from Rotten Tomatoes. We're going to look at what the critics are saying and what the, like the regular people who go see movies are saying.
Gotcha.
And we'll see what the main takeaways are.
I'm excited.
Let's start with the scores because, well, they're kind of a big deal.
Yeah, for sure. Like, what are we looking at here?
The tomatometer, that's the critic score, is only 43%.
Oh, wow.
Which puts it in rotten territory.
Ouch.
But then you look at the audience score.
Okay.
That's like the regular people who go see movies.
Right, right.
And they gave it a 74%. That's pretty good. That's a fresh rating.
Huh. Okay, so like a pretty big difference there.
Yeah, 31-point difference to be exact.
Wow. So
Yeah.
what's that all about?
Yeah.
Why are critics and, like everyday moviegoers feeling so differently about this movie? Especially like Snow White. It's a classic.
Well, let's see what the critics say as a group first.
Okay.
Their little blurb on Rotten Tomatoes says, Snow White is hardly a grumpy time at the movies, thanks to Rachel Zegler's luminous star turn, but its bashful treatment of the source material, along with some dopey stylistic choices, won't make everyone happy either.
Okay.
Even in that short summary, there's good and bad.
Yeah. Like it's not all good, it's not all bad.
What stands out to me is that they praise Rachel Zegler, who plays Snow White.
Yeah, luminous star turn. That sounds pretty positive. Like she really shines in the role or something.
And it's interesting that they start with that. Like, that's the first thing they say.
Must have been a really good performance.
Yeah, it seems like everyone agrees she's great in it.
Cool.
But then there's that phrase, bashful treatment of the source material.
Bashful, huh? What do you think that means? Like they didn't change enough of the story?
Maybe. Like, did they play it too safe? Everyone knows the story of Snow White. Maybe they didn't take enough risks.
Or maybe they did try to change things up, but it just didn't work. Like they were
Well-
too shy about it.
Right. And they also say there are dopey stylistic choices that not everyone will like.
Dopey. They really went there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are they talking about? The costumes, the sets, the way the music is done? We're not sure.
Yeah, we need more details.
Well, lucky for us, we've got lots of individual reviews to dive into.
Let's do it.
Okay, so Stephanie Zakaric, she writes for Time magazine. She had this interesting take.
Okay.
She says, this Snow White comes out in a cruel era. And she says that the movie seems to know exactly what it's saying, even if it chooses to speak only in a discreet whisper.
That's deep.
She even calls it the right Snow White for this moment.
So she liked it. She
Yeah.
really liked it.
Yeah, she sees something deeper in it. Like it's saying something important about the times we're living in, but it's doing it subtly.
That's cool. I like movies that make you think.
Me too.
Yeah.
Now, on the other side, Nadira Goff from Slate, she was not a fan, especially of Gal Gadot as the evil queen.
Oh, no.
She says it's easily the biggest failure of the movie and even calls it absolutely abhorrent.
Wow, she really didn't like it.
Nope, not at all. And the evil queen is a pretty big part of Snow White.
Totally. It's hard to have a good Snow White movie without a good evil queen.
So if the villain doesn't work, it kind of brings the whole movie down.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Patrick Gomez from Entertainment Weekly, he's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
He gave it a B+ Matt.
Okay, so not great, not terrible.
Exactly. He liked that there was just the right amount of newness and unpredictability. He said that's the true magic of Webb's Snow White, referring to the director.
So you like the changes they made?
Yeah, he seemed to think they struck a good balance between keeping the classic story and doing something new with it.
Interesting.
And Rachel Leishman from The Mary Sue, she also had good things to say about Rachel Zegler's performance.
Okay.
She said that Zegler did the impossible. She managed to make me care about Snow White as a character.
So basically, she made Snow White a real person, someone you could actually care about.
Yeah, which apparently is harder than it sounds.
Yeah, I guess Snow White isn't always the most interesting character.
Then there's Eric Estrada from Cinegarage, who's a Spanish language critic. He gave us a more intellectual take.
Okay, tell me more.
He says this Snow White is an example of what he calls industrial cinema, which basically means movies that are made more like products than art.
Right, like they're just trying to make money and not really trying to say anything new.
Exactly. And he even compares the movie to the evil queen, who's obsessed with her looks and being the fairest of them all.
Whoa, that's a cool connection.
Right. Like the movie is so focused on recreating the original, it's like it's afraid to be anything else.
That's pretty deep.
And finally, Mirjani Rawls from Substream magazine, he said director Webb realizes that the film's North Star radiates from the portrayal of its main character with enough tweaks to make things worthwhile.
Okay.
So basically, the director knew that Snow White had to be the most important part, and they made some changes to make her more interesting.
Gotcha. So they were definitely trying to update the story in some way.
Right. Okay, so we've heard from the critics. What about the people who actually paid to see the movie?
Yeah, let's see what they think.
The audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is way higher, 74% fresh.
A lot more positive.
One viewer, Bonnie L., loved the visuals, called the colors absolutely mesmerizing,
Witty.
and just said simply, good movie.
Straight to the point.
Dylan was even more excited. They wrote, I love it. Oh my God, so wonderful movie.
It sounds like they really enjoyed it.
And Susan R. thought it was well done with nice new songs, but thought it was too long.
A common complaint with these big movies.
Yeah, sometimes they just drag on. But overall, the initial audience reactions seem way more positive than the critics.
Yeah, it sounds like people are going in wanting to have a good time and they're getting that.
Maybe they're not looking for deep meaning or artistic breakthroughs. They just want to see a fun Snow White movie.
Totally.
Some viewers had more nuanced opinions, though.
Okay, like what?
Laura liked the overall cinematic quality and the musical scores.
Sounds good.
But she felt the story tends to deviate quite a bit off the beaten path of the original in various parts.
Interesting.
So she liked some of the changes, but felt like they went too far in places.
Yeah, she gave the movie 3 out of 5 stars.
Then there's Ashley T. She thought it was fun and pretty, but felt slow and tedious at times.
Okay, the pacing issue again?
Yeah. And she specifically mentioned a prince-turned-thief storyline, which wasn't in the original.
Oh, wow. So they really changed that up.
Yeah, she gave it a 2.5 out of 5.
So not as positive as some of the others.
And then there's Patricia B., who really didn't like it. She gave it a 1 out of 5. She said, they made Snow White an activist. This story is supposed to be lighthearted and fun. It was neither. Very disappointing for this new generation to be subjected to this.
Oh, so they really changed Snow White's character.
Seems like it. And Patricia B. is not happy about it.
Yeah, it sounds like they really modernized Snow White. Maybe some people aren't ready for that.
It's definitely a risky move.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's wrap up.
Yeah.
What are the main takeaways?
Well, it seems like everyone agrees that Rachel Zegler is amazing as Snow White.
Absolutely. Her performance is a highlight.
But there are very different opinions about the story.
Yeah, some people liked the changes, some people hated them.
And Gal Gadot as the evil queen, well, let's just say that performance might not be for everyone.
Some critics really didn't like it.
And a few people thought the movie was too long.
The pacing was off for them.
Yeah.
And then there's that whole thing about Snow White being an activist.
That's a big change.
Yeah, it definitely makes you wonder what the filmmakers were going for with this movie.
It sounds like they tried to do something new, but maybe they went too far for some people.
So should you see this new Snow White?
Well, if you're a fan of Rachel Zegler, you'll probably enjoy it.
But if you're a stickler for the original story, you might be disappointed.
Yeah.
And if you're not a fan of long movies, maybe wait for it to come out on streaming.
That's always a good option.
This whole thing makes you think, right? Like, how do you remake a classic story for a new generation?
It's a tough balance.
How much do you change? How much do you keep the same?
Right.
And what about the original Snow White from 1937?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we should watch that one again and see how it holds up.
That'd be interesting.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the new Snow White. We'll see you next time.